Have you ever noticed how painted images are all around us? That's where I come in. I'm a curator at an art gallery. I choose paintings for people to look at, and I'm on a mission to show you why looking is worth it, to show you why painting matters. It can challenge you, play with you, and even lift your soul. Come with me on this journey through art and you'll see the world through new eyes. Museums and public galleries are where most of us go to see art. But the art on show is not for sale. You can't take it home and live with it. Art is made to be lived with and looked at for a long time. But original art is expensive, right? It's too expensive for the likes of you or me to be ogling. To find out, we're going to head into a world within the world of art. It's the world of the dealers. But to get near to the best stuff or the new stuff, how fat do our wallets have to be? And do we need a wallet at all? Is it okay to say, just looking? First up, I'm looking for the best stuff by the best-known artists. Artists who've done the hard yards and earned their art stripes. Big-name artists are usually found in big-name galleries, and that can be daunting. It seems funny to me now, but I remember how nervous I felt coming here to Sue Crockford Gallery at the bottom end of Queen Street for the first time. Pushing the button and being buzzed through to the entry foyer was like sticking your head from economy through to business class. Make no mistake, the artists want the work to be seen, so even if it doesn't feel like you're welcome, the dealers are happy to have you there looking. In here, it's like most dealer galleries. Apart from the paintings, the only colour belongs to the red dots that tell you something's sold. And some dealers have begun to exclude even those, which spoils the fun almost as much as the POA you sometimes see on price lists. POA translates as price on application, which translates as, if you have to ask, you certainly can't afford it. But once you're in, you're free to look at a wide range of art by some of the best painters around. And as often as not, you have the room and the paintings all to yourself. When the painter is the legendary Gordon Walters, that's bliss. He's a great musical painter, if ever there was one. And this, I think, is a painting you can almost hear. The opening note, a single plink of colour on a white background, then 3 rapid runs of responding notes, the circle bouncing down these bars like the finger taps on a keyboard. And if Gordon Walters is on keyboards, then the hugely influential Julian Dashper responds on drums. This abstract work is stretched taut on an actual drum skin. Dashper's made a painting that pops on the eye. And over here, John Reynolds catches your attention with a vast web. On one hand, these lines that stitch together the surface of the work seem to express a desire to go somewhere, to make connections, to weave meaning in empty space. But at the same time, they express the pleasures of heading out again and again and again and getting deliriously, pleasurably lost. This side of the art world can be big business. When you consider a major work by Gordon Walters can fetch $250,000, you can see why people might invest in painting. And high-rent dealer galleries are just one place to buy. If you want something a little more lively, then public auctions like this are where you'll see paintings traded and resold in public. There are big buyers in the seats and big art on the walls. For the owners of art and object, it's game on.
This is our most pressured auction. This is where the pictures are of the highest value. There's a couple of pictures tonight which is sort of priced at around $250,000. So that's kind of as big as it gets in this country.
No small names in this catalogue. Mostly rare and famous paintings by the big guns.
The marketplace will be watching, the art world will be watching obviously how the Shane Cotton goes. Things like the Rick Colleen, the two McCanns that we have, and of course the Major Michael Smither.
The price of those paintings combined could buy you a house here in Auckland. In Invercargill, maybe a suburb.
The Richard Colleen at $34,000. 35. 36. 37,000.
Battle blazes as bidding begins.
$37,000 buys.
Driven by the fact that these paintings might never go to market again.
Colin McCann, Buttercup Fields Forever. At 100, 110 now. At 130,000 now. 140, nick of time. Shane Cotton's Wake at 120 away now. At 130 on the phone now. 140 at 150 now. Going to close at 150, all done. Michael Smither, this is Boys Fighting Over Pink Plastic Gun. 100,000 away now. 110,000. 130 on the phone. At $145,000. At 155 now. 165. No further interest, no more.
A good night's work for art and object. But just a recce for one of New Zealand's best-known collectors, Jenny Gibbs.
Hi, Justin.
Hi, Jenny.
Come on in.
How are you? Thank you. Jenny has one of the country's richest art collections and lives in a house that's like her own private gallery. So how did you get switched on to art? What gave you the bug initially?
I grew up with art. My father was an artist, my grandfather was an artist, and my family always had art on the walls, but I don't think anyone thinks of themselves as a collector. You think of yourself as somebody buying some art to hang on the wall, and then when you've got too much to hang on the wall, it goes under the beds and in the wardrobes, and after a while you realise you've actually got quite a lot.
And are you still looking and acquiring work?
I do buy a few pieces a year, especially now younger artists whose work I don't have. I mean, I've got a lot of the artists of my generation in huge depth. So it's when I see a young, interesting artist that I tend to fall in love again.
Are there telltale signs that put you on alert that here is something you really love? I mean, how do you know?
If you walk away from an exhibition and a particular work stays in your mind, that's the one you have to have, I think. I mean, you know, it just doesn't go away.
And looking round, it's clear one artist has stayed with Jenny more than most. Bill Hammond with his elegant bird people.
This is something I just fell in love with. I had absolutely no intention of buying. I've got enough Hammonds and they're jolly expensive, and I really didn't need it. I took one look at that and I thought, wow, that is a master. That's a man who's at the top of his game. I mean, that's a raw linen canvas. It's freehand, you can't paint over it. Every mark shows. There's no hiding any mistakes. Look at that. I mean, it's complete balanced painting. What more could you say about it? What more could anybody do? I think it's a real masterpiece myself. Do you like it?
It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
If you run out of space, I'd be glad to look after it for you.
I'm sure, yes. I think I did lend it to your gallery, didn't I?
That's right.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about my home.
Oh, right. Oh, I'd happily lend to you, Justin. You'd look after them.
Yeah. Dealer galleries are great places to see paintings by the country's top artists. And while the big money side of it can feel intimidating, passionate collectors are in on a secret. They know the most exciting artwork, the next must-see painting, is out there waiting, but you need to hunt to find it. When you first start going to dealer galleries, it's easy to be put off by the assumption they're too posh and pricey for mere mortals to go near. But if you want to see new paintings, the dealers are the place to go. While these slick spaces take some getting used to, you've got to get past the appearance and take a look inside. Almost all the New Zealand dealers subscribe to the cult of whiteness. Today the desired look is blue chip austere, with paintings afloat on white walls above acid-bleached or polished stone floors. It's how the foyer of heaven would look if God were a minimalist. But once you're in, not all the prices are out of this world. For the cost of your average flat-screen TV, you could take away one of these, and the painting will consume less power. These walls are chocker with small paintings by some major talents. Basically, it's a nifty variation on that old classic, the Cash and Carry group show. And in its way, it offers a pretty vivid image of where art is right now. It's all over the show. I like this pile-up of different styles because it gets you looking and comparing. No one is telling you what to like. It's up to you to decide for yourself. A landscape painting by Michael Height lives on the same wall as an abstract painting by Antonio Murado. Above them, two suburban Gothic New Zealand lovers happily have sex in a lushly brushed painting by Richard McFonnell, and a work by Frank Nitsch, a cool-headed minimalist doesn't even raise an eyebrow. These artists are all well known, but there was a time when they weren't. So how did they get to be on show? What makes it happen? And how do you find up-and-coming artists? The best dealers are also talent scouts, searching for painters with X factor who we instantly want to see more of. And quite a few of my want to see more moments have happened up here in Ivan Anthony Gallery. Ivan's been dealing for 15 years. Ivan.
Hello, Justin. Nice to see you.
And he represents some of New Zealand's most memorable and daring artists. From Bill Hammond, who's been in demand for nearly 20 years, to one of the country's most provocative up-and-comers, Rowan Wellens.
A lot of people want art to be unobjectionable, and I'm not interested in that at all. I mean, I want it to be irritating, I want it to be powerful, I want it to create a war.
A dealer's relationship with an artist goes well beyond just putting their work up for sale.
Now, I have a good relationship with my artists, and I deliberately do that. I mean, some like to be dissociated from their artists, and it's almost a protective mechanism because you're in the trench emotionally and you are dealing with people at every level of their emotional life, really. They put pieces of themselves on paper or canvas and they pass them to you to then arrange their transfer out into the wider world. And that's a great act of trust. If the trust is broken, the relationship is broken. I mean, I always evaluate artists not really primarily by their work, but by the character. If you're dealing with new artists that are emerging, then really you're talking about somebody that has not yet flourished. And therefore, you're looking for something in their personality that indicates to you that they are going to fulfill their potential. Ivan has a knack for finding terrific artists, and the word is that he's just made another signing. In the case of Georgie Hill, she walked into the gallery one day. Her work was immaculate. It was intense. It was almost machine-like, its execution, and it was instant. For me, it was instant. I just looked at it and went, bingo. This is definitely something that I haven't seen for a long time. Now, Ivan's responsible for some of New Zealand's biggest art names. So if Georgie Hill was a bingo moment, then I definitely want to meet her.
You know, I guess I'm starting out exhibiting in this kind of space, and it is still quite a nerve-wracking procedure.
But this isn't what I expected. Her paintings don't shout from the walls for your attention. You have to move in to hear what they have to say, and when you do, the details snare you. Everything's so finely balanced you feel like talking in a low voice in case you disturb them. How would you like a viewer to approach these?
I guess the scale and the detail, the delicacy, it makes the viewer have to come up really closely and engage with the work. I like the nature of that.
To describe Georgie's work as detailed doesn't even come close. These hand-drawn lines are enthralling. Vines become hair that grow into nerve endings, wave upon wave of pencil-thin lines. Watercolour that bleeds into fragile paper.
I think I'm interested in watercolour for its fluidity and delicacy, but I also like to subvert that in a way and use it in maybe quite an unexpected, bold way in some places.
It's the sense of risk that gets me. One wrong move of the brush and the painting would have been ruined. Immediately the O word, obsession, comes to mind. Do you mind being described as an obsessive artist?
No, I don't mind that word at all, because I think I am quite obsessive about the way I make things, and I quite like people that are obsessed about what they do.
The obsession pays off. For me, Georgie's paintings are like headspaces, dream rooms where everything flows and connects. These are paintings like nothing I've seen before, and I definitely want to see more. To look at paintings by the most established artists, you've got to explore the big-name dealer galleries. And if you're planning to buy some art, buy it because you love it. But exactly how much money do you need to start a collection? And where should you go looking to spend it? If you want to see paintings by artists who've been given history's stamp of approval, you'll find them in public galleries. But if you want to find work by up-and-coming artists, dealer galleries are the place to go. Since paintings are one-of-a-kind objects, the month in which a work's on show is often your only chance to see it, before it disappears into a collector's living room, or a dealer's stock room, or the Bermuda Triangle of an artist's collection. For some people, the effort's just not worth it. But to be sure you haven't missed something fresh and new, you have to get amongst it. And that's not too hard to do. This city has dozens of dealer galleries. But you need to put in some miles and put up with some duds in the hunt for something you love. And if you're on the lookout for fresh art, you'd do well to spend some time here on dirty old K Road. The sex shops and the strip clubs have mostly survived the arrival of the art galleries. Although at least one of those galleries, Stark-White, where we're heading now, was once a massage parlour. These days it's a place to see innovative art, and I smell fresh paint. You've heard of op art and pop art. Here perhaps comes glop art. Painters like Sung Yolo began to pop painting free of its frame. They began to revel in its own sticky, drippy physical properties, and they began to tangle with other formats and other technologies. Sung's work is silly, bloopy, childish and bodily. And I mean all that in a good way. Are these eyes, puddings, maybe breasts? It's fresh to look at and fresh from the studio. And we couldn't possibly leave without paying a visit to this little work, painted on a lawn bowl by portraitist Peter Stitchbury, this television's favourite art nun. Bless you, Sister Wendy. Just round the corner, an even younger artist, Christy Wade, has made paintings that feel as fresh as they are new. We have this idea that to be serious, art has to be gloomy. But the word that comes to mind when I look at these paintings is delight. It's there in these shrill, unexpected colours that hover on the brink of the natural and the artificial. It's as if she's fed her colour palette a Barocca. She creates lightness here by painting on aluminium, so her colour shimmers. And the forms themselves feel light, like a landscape where gravity's been switched off. These strange, biomorphic, reaching, ribbony forms are all engaged in a strange, and for me, very convincing dance with each other. So this is an artist, I think, who is really cultivating her own garden. Christy's work is new to the scene and new to me. So what becomes of it next? Who's collecting new painting now, and who can afford it? The best person to ask is an avid collector who's also an up-and-coming artist. As a painter, Simon Esling likes to take unexpected objects and graft them together on the same page. As a collector, he also gathers vivid objects together in one modest space. Come in here, looks like a normal suburban flat to all intents and purposes, but looking around, there's a tremendous number of very interesting objects tucked away. How many artworks do you own?
If I can remember all of them, at least 50.
50 works, you're by no means old, so you've been accumulating them at quite a rate. When did you begin?
I inherited a bit of money, basically, $10,000. My great uncle passed away, and I thought, I'll buy some art. And it pretty much started with a Bill Hammond lithograph.
But big-time collectors compete for Hammond's works. Surely a bit rich for a young, starving artist. What would you spend on average?
If I'm lucky, then there's works by emerging artists or students who are just graduating. They're generally around $500 to $1,000.
But some of the paintings he's got hiding in here would be worth far more than that these days. This is sort of science fiction country, isn't it? It's the blob lurking behind the armchair.
Yeah.
It's by Rowan Wellens, a slab of layered paint peeled gruesomely back. Was this your first Rowan purchase?
It was. He had just won the Waikato Award.
Rowan got famous in 2003 when he won the Waikato Art Award with what the newspapers called, wait for it, the vagina painting. This is from that series. This is the one that got him into various kinds of trouble.
Yeah, it got him a lot of attention. I thought, well, it's now or never if I'm going to purchase work before they go up in price.
I mean, it's the kind of object that not everyone's going to want to hang above the dining room table.
Funnily enough, my ex-partner, she didn't like it at all. It wasn't allowed to be in the house. When we broke up, it pretty much came out, so here it is.
Seeing paintings in Simon's house is nothing like seeing them in a public place. Here art appears alongside real-life things, like it's part of the family.
Living with them, there's an intimacy with the work that you can't really get from a public space, and it puts it in a context that you're living with daily in terms of making food and, you know, just living, watching TV. There's that little Genevieve Allison painting just over there that you may not have noticed, and you can walk past things and take them for granted, and then just months down the line just get something from it, get the thrill of it again that you got when you first saw the work.
And sometimes making art leads straight to collecting it. When he won $15,000 for the Waikato Painting and Printmaking Award, Simon knew exactly where the money was going.
For a collector like me, with my limited funds, that was a windfall. So I immediately declared at the podium, thank you very much, and I'm going to buy Tim Thatcher's work.
Yeah, so what makes this work special for you?
I just think he nailed it. I think artists know when they have made a really good work, and Tim knew this was a significant work of his, and I did too.
What is it that having artworks brings to life for you?
It's the idea of having something that there's only one of. I find it an exciting battle between what I can afford, what I can't afford, when I can, when I can't. It's not like going out and buying sneakers, of course. It's not like sinking money into a car. But it's not an investment for me either. It's just the thrill of finding new work.
Dealer galleries are places to go hunting for all kinds of original art. You might find the freshest works by the best-known artists, or the best work by painters new to the scene. Ultimately, it's all about getting out there and looking at art with some of the passion that artists bring to its making. Now, I know there are folks out there who buy art for investment rather than pleasure, and good luck to them and their spreadsheets. Art's not lofty, pure stuff after all. The life of art and the life of money can't be separated. But the heart and soul of the experience is looking. Without that, art's a goner. And when it comes to looking, no credit ratings required.